What's up, guys, and welcome back to the LittleScaleCars YouTube channel. Today in the review box we have the all-new for 2024 Hot Wheels Toyota GR86 Cup. This car seems to be pretty popular so far, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at it and see if it is worth tracking down and adding to your collections. Let's kick things off with our casting. So taking a look here around, our proportions are looking pretty good. Not really much to complain about proportional wise. We even have like a good nice sized rear wing that doesn't look massive. Let's go ahead and put the real life car up in the top right hand corner for you to kind of compare a little bit. And then let's go ahead and look at our casting as a whole here. And what I can say is almost everything you see here painted in blue is going to be metal, which is really good to see. We have all these little body lines casted in, looking really, really good. Door coming up here, door handle. Coming onto the hood, you get these little like louvers, vents, whatever you want to call them. Down here, you get these little vents casted in, looking good. You get the kind of grill intake section here with the meshing behind it. I think that's a piece of the base. Working our way to the back, the exhaust is also incorporated into the base and does look very nice. Coming up top, we have this nice rear wing, which is not too thick, actually. It looks really good, not blobby or anything like that at all. And then you can see our interior looks really good, too. That white really pops. And we got a roll cage inside, and we've got this little, like, extra vent here on the rear window. This casting did get rear mirrors here. However, one thing to take note of is that the wheels do not sit very flush. They definitely stick out a little bit, especially this one right here is very noticeable. That could just be anything with mine. I don't think it is, though. I think that this could be brought in ever so slightly, perhaps. For our paint and deco, we have a really cool blue livery here with the Hot Wheels going on the side here with the number 70, the GR racing and everything like that. Very, very cool. Very, very close to a real-life deco, as you saw earlier. I will say this is perhaps not my favorite deco that they could have gone with. Maybe if they had added all the real-life sponsors, like the ones up front and the ones down here on the bottom, I would have thought it looked a little bit better. But it's still not bad, and I think it's definitely the obvious first choice. Obviously, the Hot Wheels sponsored car is going to be the first edition. It just makes sense. However, let me pop this one up in the top right corner here. This is kind of the, like, presentation livery. And normally, I don't particularly love presentation liveries, but I think this one looks really nice, and I hope we get this one down the line, maybe in Silver Series. When it comes to our details, so we'll start up front here. And you can see we have some nice headlight tampos looking good. And the Toyota logo right there, looking really good. Tampos are pretty crisp. And we get these hood pins tampoed on as well. That's just kind of a nice touch. No kind of reflectors or anything like that to speak of up here. Making our way down the side here, we have these wheels that I think these are, what, the Y5, something like that. These look good, though. And we have the decoing that we've talked about already. But not really anything detailing-wise to speak of back here. Then when we come to the rear section, we have the touch of disappointment here. So we have no taillights. They are casted in, but they are not present here at all. And then we have some other little details kind of casted in, but did not receive any sort of tampo work. So that is a little bit disappointing, I must say. For our roll test, this being a mainline model, it should be no surprise that it rolls extremely nicely. I went ahead and put this one on the scale, and it comes out to be 31.94 grams. So despite being a relatively small casting, it does have some decent heft to it and puts it about average weight. For our pros and cons, getting started with our pros. The first big pro. This is the first GR86 Cup done in 1/64th scale, and the scaling is pretty good, so I'd say it's at least very close to 1/64th scale. So that is always a big plus. The second big pro is going to be the casting. I feel like the casting is done pretty well. There's really no casting errors or glitches that I don't really like. Moving into our cons, though, I have briefly mentioned both of them, and these wheels sticking out, maybe these are an issue with the casting itself, or it's just something that needs to be re-engineered on the base, or maybe it's even just the wheels. I don't really know what it is, but those wheels sticking out are unfortunate at the very least. They don't look amazing doing that. And the other con that I'm going to put is the rear tampos. So the lack of rear tampo work, again, I get it because it's a mainline and we got tampoing on so many other sides. I would rather them do the rear, or I would rather them neglect the rear, but in this particular case, it does not look particularly good. For some quick size comparisons, here we have it with some similar vehicles that you might have, with the Hot Wheels Scion FRS and the Matchbox Subaru BRZ. And here we have it with a few other race cars that you might have, with the Mazda MX-5 Miata Cup from Hot Wheels and the Acura NSX GT3 from Mini GT. And with that, it is now time to give the overall scores. So the hype level for this one, I'm going to give it a 9.6 out of 10. This one was pretty highly sought after, and even now that 2025 stuff is starting to show up, this one is still a little bit tough to find. Execution, I'm going to give it a 9.4 out of 10. That little issue with the wheels is hopefully something that they can get worked out pretty simply, but the lack of rear tampos is definitely a bit of a disappointment. Those are going to end up with a 9.4 for the execution. Community input. Gave this one to the council. Here are their scores, and they had a lot to say about this one. A few of them had issues with the proportions, a few of them thought it looked blobby, and most of them absolutely hated the rear tampo treatment. So they were pretty rough on it. This is going to average out to a 7.77 or a 7.8. When we take these three scores and we add them all up and average them out, we are going to end up with an 8.93 overall average score here. And I think that that is a pretty good score for a pretty good casting. It wasn't executed to absolute perfection, but for a $1 model, I think it was really done pretty good, and I don't really have a lot to complain about, and I think it looks good overall. It's one I'll be collecting a few more of at the very least. This particular deco is a little bit loud, and I can see a lot of people not liking it, but we already know we're getting at least one other deco coming up that's more of like fantasy deco, I'm pretty sure, and who knows where the casting could go down the line. Maybe it goes semi-premium in the Silver Series. Maybe it goes full premium, and we get some really cool, realistic decos fully seen through the entire car. For right now, though, this being the mainline and the first edition, it's definitely still one that I recommend, and I think it is a pretty cool release. And with that, guys, that will conclude this review, because that's all I have for you. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and leave a comment telling me what your thoughts are on this particular model, and I will see you in the next video.